What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my barbershop. I'm your host, the mustache man of the Pringles can. Guys, we are back. Holy shit. Hell effing yeah, bro. Hopefully we're looking a little more aesthetically pleasing. You'll see on screen if you know what I'm talking about. Shout out to those who know. After many months of silence, we're back and better than ever. We hit 200 subscribers. Barely, like during hiatus. I was barely posting anything. I don't even know what the fuck happened, but kind of epic, I do have to say. I didn't even think that was possible. But we're back, baby, with a new look and a new book. And speaking of a new book, we're opening this chapter in the Big Fish podcast with one hell of a return. People say this gentleman gave us one of the greatest podcast episodes of all time. And I couldn't agree more, which is why we have him back for one more triumphant return. Fantano can't hold a candle to this busy music nerd. We have a lot to talk about. So, ladies and gentlemen, join me on the podcast. Welcome back, Pad Chennington.
What is up, everybody? Thanks for having me back. Yeah, dude, that last podcast we did, that was one of my favorite podcasts I think I've just ever jumped on. It was just the way you just set it all up, and it just felt like a genuine hangout session.
It was rad.
It was perfect. So I'm so excited to be back. Thanks for having me again.
Of course, dude.
Yeah.
Honestly, people have been telling me, like, when I do polls and stuff on my Instagram, I'm like, what is a good episode from the podcast? And they're always like Pad Chennington. I'm like, I agree.
That's dope. Awesome. Good to know. Yeah, this could be a good one too. I was telling him before this, I have like the whole night of just nothing to do right now, and it's so nice to just know that. So I'm just ready to chill, ready to hang out, and it's gonna be a good episode for you guys.
Fuck yeah. That's what I like, man. I don't like no oh, you got an hour exactly. Fuck that, dude. We're here for the chill, bro.
Exactly.
So what have you been up to lately? Because the last I checked in with you was, in podcast form anyway. It's been many, many months, right?
Yeah, it feels like forever ago. I think it was. Yeah. It had to be right when. Were we in? We were definitely in like COVID times, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's how long ago. Like, there's so many things going on. I'm sure you could say the same. Just being a content creator, you're always doing 1,000 things, and you start to forget what happened when, and it happens so fast. Like I feel like even a month or 2 months ago, I'm forgetting what I was doing, and the scope just gets all over the place. But in regards to things going on, whole bunch of stuff. I started a record label, Katskill Records, officially up and running. We had our first drop about a month ago now. Not even, April 2nd was the first drop. So went really well. We sold out in about 5 days of that first drop. And we got our next drop coming up on May 7th. We're doing a limited edition cassette run. So if you want some good music, definitely check out Katskill Records. And besides that, I've just been working on this gigantic Caretaker video for like the past, oh my God, you know about it, like 5 months
You
now.
Mentioned it last podcast, and I looked, the last podcast we did was like October, like the end of October.
Yeah.
So it's been many, many months you've been working on this behemoth.
Yeah, it has been a long time. And I told Jake, I told everybody who's jumping in on this video with me, there's so much good Caretaker deep dive content out there. Like Jake's video is one of the best I've seen, and just look at the numbers on that thing. You're over, I think last time I took like 2.4 million or something.
Yeah, 2.4 mil.
Nuts. So yeah, there's just a lot of good content out there, and with all the Caretaker content just circulating YouTube, I have to do something different. I have to do something that's like, no offense, Jake, but I got to do something that's gonna knock everybody else out.
No, I absolutely agree.
It's the only way.
You gotta top it, man. You gotta keep topping it.
And I think with a project as just gigantic and significant as Everywhere at the End of Time, I want to take this angle of just giving my viewers a complete just walkthrough of Kirby and everything he's done along the way, just not just the Caretaker project, because a lot of these videos, they'll focus on the themes of the project, they'll focus on the 6 stages, and we know kind of the progression of everything with them, but nobody really talks about like The Stranger, one of his other aliases, or just his earlier works and how he's gotten all the way to the Caretaker. One thing I loved about your video was you got really into the artwork with Ivan Seal, and that's another thing I'm going to be kind of tackling with, is just going really deep into it. So I just want to tackle it from a whole bunch of angles and give everybody this just hub world of discussion for the Caretaker. Because another thing with his works, and I think we talked about this last time, I don't remember, but it feels like after you listen to Everywhere at the End of Time, you want more in a way. And I think a lot of people, after they listen to that, maybe some people will see An Empty Bliss Beyond This World, which is another one of those famous Kirby albums, maybe on their recommended, and they'll click that. But besides that, no one really ventures down into a lot of his other stuff. People do, but I think so much of his other work deserves attention. And I'm hoping
absolutely.
I'm hoping this video just opens that up to everybody and just really gets the Kirby name out there. And besides you, I mean, I got like five or six other people joining me in this video, and I was able to talk to Kirby too along the way these past couple of months. One of the kindest people in the world. I'll end my rant here with just saying, like, the thing I love about him so much after talking to him, so many of these artists, you listen to them all the time and they almost become these like kind of like these figures that aren't even real. You just know about them through the internet. Like, their pictures are on your screen. You've never met them, and they just feel like just this being that's like superior to you because their music is so good, and you're like, how do they do it? Whatever. James reminds you that all of these people are human. He is just so kind and so incredible and so helpful. Like, just messaging him, he responds right away and whatnot. So I got so much love for James, but it's going to be a real fun video when it's done. I've been working at it for a while, and hopefully I can get it out sooner than later, but I can't drop a product that's anything less than almost perfect at this point. It has to, like I said, it has to beat everybody else. So there's no point because there's so much good content out there already exploring the Caretaker.
That's a very good point. And I like how you said that you don't mean to ramble or like your rant is done. That's what podcasts are, man. We just talk and then into the void, and then other people tell us how we did.
I know. I say that to myself sometimes. I'm like, going into a podcast, I tell myself, all right, let's just like try and keep it chill, like, take some breaths between words, but it never fucking happens. You just start going, and then it doesn't stop.
That's why it rocks, because it's just like an empty flow of just all this constant stream of thought. That's why it's so fascinating.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So let's jump into the Caretaker video, because this has been many months in the making, almost 5 months in the making. And you mentioned you talked to, I think it was funny because on the last episode we did, you mentioned how you talked to him. I freaked out, and then I got in contact with him, and you're so right. Like, the way I can describe him, like, I put it like he's a mystic, like, lighthouse worker. He's this old mystic lighthouse worker. He speaks in like sort of riddles, but he's always like, he's just really nice. Yeah, he rocks. He got back to me so quick. When
you get an email back from him, it's like you're picking up an item in Skyrim or something.
It's wild, right? Yeah, dude.
The way he words things and just the way he responds is just so like old English, and like I love everything about it. He adds on to his like persona so well.
Yeah, he lives the gimmick, dude. Like, he is the Caretaker.
Yeah, he's great.
So your video, I remember somewhere, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is going to be like a multi-hour video, like 3-4 hour plus.
Yes, we're officially looking at. I mean, it might change once I do the final edit and just cut whatever I need to cut, but I think at this point it's safe to say we're gonna hit the 4 hour mark.
Holy shit.
It's long. And the other thing is too, I don't want it to just be like, I don't want people to look at it and be like, oh, this is going to be so good because it's so long. If it's just like a bunch of, clutter and just that's, I don't
know. Image voiceover type thing.
It's really going to need 4 hours with all the stuff I'm going to be covering, and everybody else is going to be covering in it. So it's not just, to look good, we're going to make it 4 hours long. It really needs to be 4 hours long, and it could have been way longer. One part of the video I talk about how, like, with all the interviews that are out there, all the data that's out there, just the sample hunt that goes on for all of the works, and just I've been able to reach out to the community and people in like the Caretaker Discord server, and there's so much content around James that a true proper video could be like days long. As crazy as that sounds, there's just so much stuff to cover. So I'm like trying to condense it at this point, like, from not going over 4 hours. Like, I don't want it to be, I think it's going to be cool that it'll be that long, and like for YouTube algorithm's sake, like, I'm hoping to God this thing just explodes.
Oh yeah, with the fucking retention time, dude. Game over with that.
But it deserves it, because there is just so much content to discuss. And yeah, it's been going on, like you said. I think, like, actually working on it, maybe it really started over 5 or 6 months ago, is when I first wrote the first script. And I think I've scrapped the script for the video at least 2 times at this point, because once I would finish it, I just kept looking at it and I was like, I don't know, it just feels like something that you can get from another video. And then after like the second time writing it, I was like, you know what, if I'm gonna do this, I gotta do it right, and I really gotta I gotta set the bar. So that's where the idea of just bringing in his other aliases, you know, like The Stranger, like I was saying before, his own works under his actual name, all that stuff, and how he started, and it's going to be a lot. So when it's done, like I always have a tendency to like make something. A lot of other creators like this, I'm sure you are the same. I make something and like it's very hard for me to just smell the roses because I always want to work on the next thing.
Oh,
I
yeah,
just have
dude.
this addiction to putting out new content and trying new things. But I really think this one, I'm going to I need to take a break. Like I
Oh,
just
absolutely, dude. 4+ hours? Fuck that, dude. I feel exhausted after like a 10-minute video. That's insane.
Yeah, me too. I mean, definitely me too. But then there's just like, you know, the next day I wake up and I'm like, oh shit, like here's a cool, you know, video I could work on. But recently I definitely have not been posting as much videos as I usually do. And that's because of the record label. So that was just a whole nother avenue I went down. But this Caretaker video, I'm like, you know, on the side, I'm slowly creeping at it all the time and throwing things in. But the hardest parts, in my opinion, I don't know what you think about it as a video content creator, but the hardest parts to me are over, and that is writing the script and recording the script, believe it or not, because a video this long, I think it took me like a 5-hour chunk of time to record the audio, and you get thirsty, you start fucking up things, and like,
oh yeah, dude, you must have been like delirious by the end
oh
of that.
my god, that's the thing, you get that, you really do. After like recording something that long, you just, oh my god, I don't know about you, but like I get sweaty because my room gets hot somehow.
Oh my god, you were just like
mad.
describing. Anyone who's ever made anything right now is like, this is exactly what happens. You start reading it, you hit like, there's always that one chunk of paragraph where you just constantly fuck up and you're like, why can I not say this? And then you just like get sweaty, and just 5 hours of that. Yeah, that's people's personal hell.
And it is. And I like, there will be times where I'll just throw words in there, like while I'm writing the script. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'll be able to say this, you know, when the time comes. And then I'm trying to say it, and I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking? Like, what am I even? And then you get mad at yourself. You're like, why are you even?
Oh my dude. If the raw audio of anything I've ever recorded leaks, I would die, because it's just it's like, the fuck, how do you fucking this up? Like, that's literally how it goes.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I start making like popping noises. Like, I start playing the drums on my desk. It gets, and then the drums like messes up the audio in the end. Like a compressor, but the drumming is like just blows everything out of proportion, and it screws me over.
Nothing is working. This video might be the death of you by the time it's done.
Oh man, it might be.
4+ hours. All right, without spoiling too much of this video, can you, if it's possible to, can you give like kind of a segmented breakdown of like where you're going to be focusing and like what chunks are going where, and like, don't spoil the video, but give us a little bit of a tidbit, a little bit of a taste.
Yeah, no, the best way to do it. So I made this crazy master Google Doc for all this. I just pulled it up now.
Google Doc.
But I have like, it's so big. I don't know. Do you write your scripts in Google Docs?
Yeah, Google Docs. Yeah.
So this Google Doc is 39 pages long.
Oh, I was gonna ask you how many pages that was. That's
39.
Fucking
I think the longest I've ever done. I don't count the Begotten videos because those were in 3 separate docs. But I think the longest I've ever done had to be like 10 pages, maybe 11.
Yeah.
But yeah, 39. But there's a table of contents I had to make just to keep myself organized. But the best way to break this video down is I'm doing it, and I think it's 13 chapters. So I'll just tell you the chapters. It's not really going to reveal anything, but
okay.
The first chapter is who is James Leland Kirby. So it's a complete breakdown from his earliest moments getting into music up until he starts really putting shit out. Chapter 2 is who is the Caretaker. So it's just explaining his alias at the Caretaker, the beginnings, and leading all the way up to Everywhere at the End of Time. But then before we get into Everywhere at the End of Time, chapter 3 is on An Empty Bliss Beyond This World, because I believe that album deserves a video in itself. And I told myself, you know what, let me just throw it in here, because that album is also extremely important, I believe.
I have a script I'm working on for it, actually.
Nice, there you go. I hope more people make videos on that, because everyone just jumps right to Everywhere at the End of Time. It's an easy topic to cover.
Yeah.
It seems to trend a lot, and it's just interesting. But An Empty Bliss in itself is also a very, very interesting album. So
yeah, I don't want to spoil it, but there are like a lot of parallels between the two.
Dude, that's a whole part of my video. There's something I love, and this is another thing I'm going to discuss in the video, is this thing he does where he reuses samples from past albums, and it makes almost this like like Marvel Cinematic Universe of the Caretaker. It's like you
That rocks.
where you'll listen to something on Everywhere at the End of Time, and you'll be able to pick it up from An Empty Bliss Beyond This World, or even his like super early works. Like the first Caretaker release was in '99, and there's traces on Everywhere at the End of Time that are pulling from that first album. So that's a big thing too that I'm discussing in the video. But yeah, like An Empty Bliss, really important album, and that's chapter 3. That's right before chapter 4, which is entering the world of Everywhere at the End of Time. So it's just setting the stage for everything and just how he got to that point. And then the next 6 chapters are stage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we go through all 6 of those. And then the last chapters of the video is going to focus on noteworthy fan-made projects. So that's another big thing. There's a ton of fan-made albums and just compilations that have been dropped over the years.
Thank you so much for talking about that. If I had a quarter for every time someone told me to talk about a fan-made version of the album, I wouldn't need this whole YouTube thing. I could retire nicely in Malibu.
Well,
that's fascinating that you talk about that. I'm actually really hyped about that portion.
And the reason why is because there are so many people involved in these fan-made projects. There's ones I'm covering. I think there's like over 90 people in one of them. I got to go back.
Holy shit.
All my info on the Caretaker is so scattered because there's just so much of it I've been working on, but there's a lot of people involved in making these fan-made projects, and I think it deserves its own section entirely. There's like a Minecraft at the End of Time video where like
that video, holy shit,
it's like
so many people tell me to talk about that.
Yeah, it is a genuine project with like real talent like that. The dude who made it's awesome. So I'm talking about that. Then the next chapter after noteworthy fan-made projects is the sample hunt, which I think could be its own video in itself. There is just this insane hunt for all the samples. If we were only to specifically talk about Everywhere at the End of Time, when you get into like stage 5 and stage 6, the samples Kirby uses are so insanely just nutty at that point that people in the community have broken down in like Google Doc form songs that they're looking for the samples for, and there's so many clusters of individual samples that they've been able to find that they're like individual like tables within songs. Like I've seen all this crazy stuff from the community, and like they've been able to discover like 70% of one song and 46% of another song, and that is nuts in itself. So I'm actually
so fascinating.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna have someone from the scene, a pretty I think this is the dude who runs the Caretaker Discord server. So he's going to actually be joining in the video to talk about that. So that thing, I'm just going to let him fly on, and that'll be that. And then the second to last chapter is the search for the FPR record. So one of the big discussions is there's a choir sample on the last track of stage 6 that nobody could find for a very long time. But there was a really big discovery in the scene a couple months ago, I believe. And everyone thought we figured it out. But Kirby actually commented on the video upload of the sample that the person found and said that it's not exactly it. And we actually found some more stuff out about where that sample comes from. But there's a whole discussion on that. So that's the second to last chapter. And then the final chapter of the video is just titled What Now? And it's, when you finish Everywhere at the End of Time, if you really do it properly, which is from the first track to the last, and it's very hard for a lot of people to do that. You got to dedicate 6.5 hours of your day. When you finish it, where do you go from there? What do we look forward to from here? Because the Caretaker project ended at the end of Everywhere at the End of Time. It's like, it died.
Quite literally the nail in the coffin.
Yep. And I think what's really great, and it just shows off James's personality and how humble he is a lot of people. And, take it from me. Like, let's say I stopped making YouTube videos for a long time, and then one of my older videos just exploded and like it hit like 10 million views. I don't know. It would be very hard for me not to just drop everything else I'm doing now in life to go back to YouTube to capitalize on that success. James has seriously, that Caretaker project is done. He has never came back to it. I don't think he's ever going to come back to it. And I find that so crazy in a day where so many people are so addicted to seeing numbers and like seeing the success of something they've done and then try and capitalize on it again. James hasn't done that with this. And yeah, it's just that last chapter is just going to talk, what do you do from here as a listener? And yeah, just It's a long video. There's so much to talk about. Obviously, I mean, if we were to talk about it all, we'd be here for hours because that's literally what the video would be. But
Yeah.
I'm really excited, and I can say from like the bottom of my heart, this video will be the best video I've ever done. Just leagues ahead of anything else I've ever done, and I'm not going to drop it until it is almost perfect. I think it's going to be impossible to do anything perfectly, but this is going to be very close. So
Get pretty damn close.
pretty damn close.
Fuck. What now? That's I literally could not think of a better way to end that, because that's literally what you feel. You're like, what now?
Yeah, that's really it. It just ends, and then like the project ends with like a minute of silence, like just barely audible crackling and whatever, and it's just like you just picture yourself in this like black void, and you're just like standing there, and you're like you're trapped here like forever now, and it's just that album. It's very hard to not talk about it in a pretentious way and this like imaginative way, but that's what it is. It's this album that is so much fun to like put yourself in these settings, and like the colors of the album cover, which is another thing I'm talking about, just like they just like evoke these feelings of like, you know, you look at the cover of Stage One and you listen to it and you just feel like, you know, you're in that room in your grandparents' house that no one ever goes in, with like the yellow stained pillow covers because just the sun has been beating on them for 30 something years, and like that smell of like old leather jackets in their closet. Like there's just such a world you create in your mind and your senses with this album, and that's what makes it so important. I've never experienced that like to that extent, and this album I have, and I really, you know, want to do it justice, and that's why this shit is taking me so damn long. But it's gonna be good. It's gonna be real good, and your boy Jake is on it.
Yeah, you got that fucking right, baby.
Spitting fire, so you better be out there for it.
I'm gonna be real. I recorded that. I don't think I could tell you a single thing. I don't remember a single thing that I said on that
A long
video.
time ago. It was a long time.
It was, yeah. That just shows how much you're working on and making sure that this is the magnum opus. Quite literally 4 hours.
Yeah, this is it. If James is if Everywhere at the End of Time was James's magnum opus, this is mine. And I think that's the only way. I have to treat it like that to truly give this project justice. So
oh yeah, absolutely.
That's how we're doing it.
You mentioned it a little bit. I'm curious what your thoughts are, because I think about this a lot.
Yeah.
The pretentious comments when people talk about Everywhere at the End of Time. Where, like, how does that make you feel when they're just telling you like, fuck you, you're making a mountain out of a molehill type beat?
So I think I have a weird take on that. I think, and this can also go into just like toxicity and like constructive criticism to art and music in general, but I think everything has a place in art discussion, and I kind of like when, like, let's say people are discussing an album in this really imaginative way, and then there's this whole other side that kind of tackles it, and they're like, dude, it's just music, or you're not tackling, like, you could have made a whole video on all this other concrete information. Why are you taking such an imaginative route to it, and whatever. I think all of it in a way kind of just creates this whole discussion that builds up to why the art is so significant in the first place. There's so many sides you can take, and I just, it's hard to explain, but I just find it interesting. And you know, we all get these comments. For anyone who's a YouTuber, I guess, and they just create content discussing anything, you're always going to get those comments where people are like, you know, you're just trying to make such a discussion out of this piece of music. But to me, that's what makes something like Everywhere at the End of Time so fun. It's that mix of lore, that mix of just like looking at the colors and the pictures and evolving them in your head and whatnot. So I think everything has a place in time. And I think like a lot of people that like, we will always just right away shit on all these people that try and like shit on us in a way. But in the bigger scale, I don't know if I'm even wording this correctly, but on a larger scale, I think it all is necessary. And I think it's fun and funny at the same time. Like sometimes I love like writing this crazy script, making a video. I spend so much time on it, and then someone is just like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like I genuinely appreciate it sometimes. Like it's fun. So yeah, I think, you know, we are allowed to think whatever we want, and you can totally think that someone discussing this in such an imaginative way is unnecessary because it's just sound coming out of your speaker at the end of the day, you know. But everything is if you look at it for what it really is, it's kind of, you know, just boring, but who would want to live a boring life? Like, discuss
Exactly. That's like, you're hitting the nail on the head, man. Because everyone's saying like, "Oh, this whole thing is pretentious." It's just ballroom music that's fucked up a little bit. That can kind of go for anything. Exactly, it is. That's like the point that I don't get when people say it's pretentious. Like, art is inherently valueless. Everything is valueless. You put value on it, so it could just be nothing. So whoever the commenter's favorite song is, I could just be like, you hit the nail on the head. Like, yeah, it's just noise coming out of a speaker. Why do you like that? You know, it sucks. You could do that with anything. So it is fun, just doing something that creates discussion. That's fun. And why not have fun, dude? We're all gonna die anyway. Fuck it, dude. Let's have fun.
That's just it. And that's why I'm saying, like, there is no right or wrong. I don't think anybody's saying that people like me, like, I'm sure I'll get some sort of shit for it, but it's cool. Like, it's totally cool because it just adds to just the whole discussion of art in general. You can take any side you want on it. You can look at it so concretely for what it is, or you could be like a crazy motherfucker and like just make this whole conversation out of it.
Make this whole 4-hour video.
Either way is correct. Either way is correct. And I think too many people, you know, like too many people who are very harsh on people, I think they get too much shit. I do. I think like it's fair. It's all fair game. And I like to sit back sometimes. Like, I'll sit back and I'll kind of just watch it all unfold. And in a way, it is beautiful because it just, you see so many different sides, you know, from the human perspective. And also it kind of just brings people and attention to the original artist in the first place, which is, I think, the most important thing in my videos. That's where I get the most joy out of, is like bringing this attention to someone I discussed and like hearing back from them and then being like, oh my God, dude, like, thank you for talking about it. And at the end of the day, it always works out for me, kind of, because that's what happens. And I don't know if this has happened to you. I'm sure it has. But when you get that message back about someone who you discussed and they're like my numbers shot up and this and that, like, that's it. I think it's a win right there.
Yeah, you've done your job.
Yeah, you know, so it's cool. I think being pretentious sometimes is fun. And it's also like, it's just necessary. Just like, I believe, the people on the other side that are just shutting it down, because it just creates this yin and yang of what's right, what's wrong, what's artistic, what's not. And I don't know. I might not be making any sense here, but it's
no, that's a good way of looking at it. I'm way more cynical in the way I picture it, but you're making a lot of good sense, actually. I like the whole there needs evil to be good, you know, type thing. Fascinating. Yeah. So yeah, pretension is sometimes fun. I like that saying. Put that on a t-shirt. I'll tell my manager to do that. So 4-hour video, working on this for 5 months. Can you give any inkling, if you know at all, when we could possibly expect this to drop?
So now that I got the first drop on the record label out, because I've never done anything like releasing music and selling it and shipping. I've never done that before. And I kind of...
yes, we will get to that.
Oh, that's a whole... Yeah, that's going to be a fun discussion in general. But I tend to do these things with myself where I kind of jump in the deep end. And I think it's... if I could recommend advice to anyone, I think that's a really good way. Like, I could have started the record label out by doing like 5 homebrew cassettes in a way, just to test, you know, how shipping works and how an international order works and whatnot. But I was like, I tend to do this thing where I get so into the moment. And I remember when I announced the record label the first time, I was like, we're going to do awesome releases, crazy packaging, and I'm going to give all the profit to the artist. And like, I felt like, in a way, like the scene in Wolf of Wall Street where he's just like telling him he's not going to leave and everyone's
fucking leaving.
Yeah. And then you just look at the situation and you're like, dude, you're promising a lot here.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what happened. Like, it took me like a day to settle. And I really started to right then, like, look into the label and what happens with it. And I started realizing, wow, this is not going to, I'm not going to be able to do this as easily as I thought.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So it really involved a lot of planning and looking at everything. And now that that's over, like that I did this first drop and I fully went through the whole process, I learned exactly how it all works. I'm able to really get back to this Caretaker project and put a lot more time into it. In regards to a time frame, I really I wish I can give some sort of time frame, but I honestly can't, because there's just times with a video like this, because it's so big, it's very hard for me to schedule myself. It's just, I'll get these days where I just tackle it like really hard, and I get in the zone and I knock out, 8-9 minutes worth of the video. Like, I'm not saying I only work for 8-9 minutes, just 8-9 minutes of video content is generated in, a day. And for a video like this, because I actually reached out to you a while ago asking you, like, how do you animate your stuff? Because I really wanted to evolve my video editing and animating processes in this video. So I've just been really, taking every single scene as, intricate as I can, as animated as I can, and really make it evolve as a video. But I can say, like I said earlier, the hardest parts are done, which is writing the script and recording the audio. I think now the video editing process is a lot more, I don't know what the word is, not boring, but it's very like
tedious.
It's just, you're chopping the block. Like you're chopping it every day. You're just working and working the same things just to get to that final result. And I've never done a video this long before, so I don't know, if I'm gonna have another like burnout phase or something with it. But I'm really doing everything I can to get it out there as soon as I can, because especially with the sample hunt, for example, like new things get discovered all the time. And I don't want this video to be like outdated by any means. Like, I'm sure something, a couple of little things may change in that department, but I don't want to wait too long, because I don't want, like, let's just say the whole thing gets discovered, and in the video I'm saying like, oh, this stage like 60% is discovered or whatever. I want it to be as accurate as possible.
Yeah.
But I'm also realizing that's impossible too. Things are just going to evolve over time and whatnot. But I can tell you, like, that I'm working on it a lot harder now that the first release for the record label is dropped, and I'm going to continue doing that. That is my number one goal. I'll try and like, sprinkle in, some videos every once in a while at this point. But it's not going to be like, new videos every week while I'm working on it, because I'm not going to be able to get it out then as fast as I possibly could. So now it's just, I'm tackling this and it's coming. I would say, not like a couple of months, but probably, maybe if I really get it done, maybe 2 months, maybe, but we'll see. It would be nice to get it out before like full summers and blast and stuff, because I want to go out. Like, I want to be, planning a lot of hiking trips this summer with my girlfriend. Like, I just got a lot of things planned, so I'd
don't be
love
cooped
to get
up
it
in
out
your little room
that.
editing on your computer.
Yeah, I don't want to be doing that. So
nah.
Well, yeah, I would say, you know what? I'll say it on here, and maybe this will give me some more ground and make it less abstract for myself. But I can possibly get it out in 2 months. I just got to work very hard at it, and yeah, I would like to. So hopefully 2 months from now, maybe before July, it's out. We'll see.
Yeah, the pressure is on now. It's out on the internet.
It's on now. I fucking said it. This is what I do to myself. I say things, and it helps.
Now you have a goal. Yeah, you have a goal to reach for. Fascinating. All right, Pad Chennington's making his own everywhere at the end of time. 4+ hour behemoth. Yeah. Now, something that I've been very curious about, and I will guarantee everyone else is curious about, because they have no fucking idea how this works, is running a record label. The owner of Katskill Records is sitting before me. What made you want to start a record label? Let's start from square one.
I think it's another just example of me wanting to do new things all the time. I kind of just, when I first wanted to do it, I don't know what it was. I don't know. I talk about music all the time, and I was like, you know what? Like, it would be cool. Like, it'd be another avenue to take Pad Chennington down. I didn't really put too much thought in it, and then I just announced it on Twitter, like, I'm going to be making a label. And I knew once I said that, there's no turning back, because, like I said, I got to do it. So that was that. And then, I put on a real proper announcement. Like I said, when I originally wanted to do 100% of the profit goes to the artists, after expenses are paid for, and I make my money back from ordering the records, because that's a fuck ton of money too, just doing that, like preparing it. And then I realized that wasn't going to work, but I was like, you know what? I got to give artists the best possible treatment I can. Still give them a very good cut, but also do other things. And this is what kind of generated me to take this first release that I did on the label as like crazy as I did, because I really, for anyone who knows, the first release on Katskill Record is an album called Surrogate by an artist named Fake Fever. It's like a chill wave, vaporwave. Just, I find it to be a perfect chill wave, vaporwave blend of tracks. And I needed to, especially because it's the first release on the label, and I wanted to give the artist this awesome experience of working with me. I wanted to hype this shit up as much as I possibly can. So I kind of did this almost like Nintendo Direct style event called the Katskill Records Spotlight, where we kind of announced it in this like Smash Brothers kind of fashion. And I'm going to be doing that for a lot of the big releases on the label. I think it just it generates a lot of hype and everything. So yeah, the wanting to do the record label almost just came purely from me wanting to just evolve something else as Pad Chennington. And I've tried a lot of shit at this point, like did the videos, released an album, did the record label. I've done live shows. I've done online festivals. So it's just, like I said, it's that addiction to make more content and just evolve myself as a content creator. But yeah, it's been fun. It's been a lot of work, a lot of frustrating times because you get scared and you're like, oh my God, like what if I fucking just do the wrong thing when I'm shipping everything out and I like print labels the wrong way, and but sometimes like life has a weird way of working itself out, and as of right now, knock on wood, it has been for the record label. So we'll see what happens from here on out.
Yeah, Fake Fever Surrogate. That album rocks. Actually, I love putting it on when I'm at work because I just put it over the loudspeaker, and like people love it, dude. Because it's literally just chill wave. It's so relaxed. Everyone's like, "Oh, this rocks."
It's one of those like vaporwave chillwave albums that if you throw on with people, it's perfect. Like I like that you said that you did it like at work in a way, because it's one of those albums where people don't look at you and like, why the fuck are we listening to elevator music?
They're like, what the fuck is going on, dude?
Yeah, it's something that a lot of people would like to dive into. It's super chill. Mm-hmm. Some really good music on there. And I'm blessed to be able to have him as that first drop. And I reached out to him. He was like right on board. And that's another thing too with the label that I'm going for. I don't care about numbers. I don't care how popular anyone is. I know who I want for the label because I just know people who have good energy and they're passionate and they want to work hard. Like that's my thing. I need people that can keep up with me because I'm very just always working on Pad. Whenever I clock out of my day job, my 9 to 5, I go straight to Pad, and it's bittersweet because I'm always focusing on this, but at the same time, I could be maybe spending time a little more with family or friends or whatnot, but that's just who I am. I think at this point in my life, I'm just like addicted to doing this, and I need people who can keep up with me with that. So this label, I don't know what's going to happen with it. Like every day is a new thing with it, but we got some big releases planned, and so far, I'm really proud of everything that's going on, and it's just gonna be a lot of fun. We'll see what happens.
All right. Fake Fever was a really kind of perfect first person to go with. I'm curious, what do you look for when you're signing an artist? Signing, I guess, is a weird word, but working with an artist. What do you like? You mentioned super, intuitive. Like they don't have to have any huge numbers or anything like that. But for the people do you have any new people besides Fake Fever that just aren't publicly announced?
Yes, I have a couple actually. So this has been in the works for a while, and I told people too, because with the channel, with just doing online sets, and then as time goes by and we're finally going back, to real venues, hopefully soon, working on that, and then my actual job and all that stuff. I told them this isn't going to be a traditional label where this is the only thing I'm focusing on. Like I'm just focusing on a lot of other stuff. So people know that I've reached out to, and they've been in the queue for like months now. But we're gonna get to them. But what I look out for is, like I said, I think the most important thing is just good energy that you could sense right away. Someone that works hard, is kind, passionate about what they're doing, and that's the number one thing. The other thing I think that's important to me too is diversity, like true diversity, in the sense where I want all different styles of music on it. Like people would always say when it was starting, like, is it just going to be vaporwave or is it going to be other things too? And it is going to be beyond just vaporwave. I will have anything on here. I would actually, to tell any other artists out there, for submissions, it's I know right now I'm kind of booked, but what I would be looking for, what I think would be cool, is to get artists who are known for something and give them a platform where they can try something new for once. Like let's say someone's a vaporwave artist and they wanted to do hip hop or something. Like I would love to be a home for you to try that shit out. There's no rules here at Katskill Records. It's just purely about just good energy. Can you keep up with, my annoying ass, like just wanting to do things all the time? And that's it. That's really, it's simple. I think it's a lot more simple than maybe other labels do it. I don't know what their processes are, but for me, it's just someone who's kind, has good energy, and just wants to, be consistent with working on this thing for as much as we can, because we all have most of us have lives outside of what we do as content creators. We're not these huge like PewDiePie number people. So so it's just, how good are you at that almost work balance where you can you're clocking out of your 9 to 5, but then you can stay consistently in a mindset where you can be productive on your secondary thing, which is you making content, whether it's musically, videos and whatnot. For the label, obviously it's music. So yeah, it's just people who are ready to rock is what I'm looking for, as lame as that is.
Ready to rock. I love that. Huh. Okay. Katskill. Where'd you get the name?
So it's from the Catskills in New York. It's one of my favorite places to go. It's in upstate New York. A ton of mountains there. Awesome to hike. Just a beautiful place to go all year round. My girlfriend and I go there a lot. I'm actually going to be going there soon. It's like just a great getaway place that I've always found so beautiful. And another thing there is it is the home of where Mike Tyson first started training to be a boxer. And I'm a huge boxing fan. I'm a huge MMA fan. And when I went to the Catskill a couple of times, his gym, the gym that he trained in with Customato, who was his trainer, the legendary boxing coach, it's still there. And what's really cool, just to go off topic a little bit, whenever I get a chance to talk about boxing, I love to. His gym is still there, and it's actually on top of a police station in the town. And the little city in the Catskills is like this really industrial. It just looks like something like right out of Rocky. It's like just this like industrial town, and you can go there, and if you like ask anyone at the front desk of this little like police station, what I remember it to be, you could say like, hey, would I be able to go just see the gym upstairs? And they'll let you go up there, and it's just this like magical experience.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like, because you walk in there and it looks like he just left, like he was just training, like everything. There's still like training equipment on the floor, and it's like right out of the 80s in there. Like it's just locked away, and it still exists. And that whole place is just magical to me. So I thought like, Catskill Records, that would be kind of cool. And then I just thought it'd be very cool for a logo. Like just the first thing I thought of was just this like dope ass looking cat, like just eating something. I don't know.
That logo rocks, dude.
So shout out to Elena Fortune, who designed it for me. Awesome artist. Go grab some commissions if you need some art. Shout out to Elena. But yeah, I just thought it would be awesome to brand. It's just, the fighting spirit. I want that with, integrated into this label, just to showcase like whoever's on this label works hard, loves what they do, and just wants to put stuff out. But yeah, that is where the name came from. It's just a really nice place in upstate New York.
Nice place, nice play on words. I like that. That rocks. All right, now let's put your business hat on, because let's talk about the boring legal shit when it comes to running a record label.
Here's where your audience retention just shoots down.
No, I genuinely believe I will guarantee people have no fucking idea what goes into like,
dude, no, it's
like making a vinyl release, or making sure like all legal papers are in copyright and all that bullshit. Like, describe for Fake Fever, how'd you go about getting the album, like clearing it and all that shit, getting the vinyls, if you cleared it, just spit. I'm so curious.
Yeah, so the first thing that was always on my mind, and I'm sure this is on the mind of a lot of people who want to get into this, is sample use, because I'm always scared like one day, that I could get in trouble for something. But the beautiful thing is I was just starting this label now. A lot of other labels in the scene who started in like 2013, 2014, it was just the name of the game to go the sample route, especially for Vaporwave. But now, as we're evolving into this time where I don't even know what the hell Vaporwave means anymore. It's just like evolved into all these different branches. And there's a lot of sample-free material out there that's doing really well. It's crushing it. Artists like George Clanton, for example.
I was just going to mention George Clanton, bro. That rocks.
Yeah, FM Skyline, another good one. Runners Club 95. So many people. Dan Mason. There's just so many artists out there putting out this sample-free material that is selling, that there's a real place for it now. I think there was a time in Vaporwave where people were just so against sample-free stuff because it just killed the idea of it. And in a way, okay, maybe it did. It kind of killed that traditional Vaporwave style. But I think we're at this point now where almost anything is, and you can look at that as a good thing or a bad thing. I personally think it's a cool thing. But now you have this opportunity to sell a lot more sample-free material to the Vaporwave community, and they're kind of eating it up more, I think, welcoming. And I could take advantage of that now because I'm starting this label so late in the game. So my big thing was to tell anyone I work with, it's got to be sample free. And if it's not, you got to get the samples cleared. I hate to be a pain in the ass, but it's just, I want to do this the right way off the bat. So yeah, what ends up happening is you have to sign this, pretty much this form. I'm going to be very like not businessy sounding in certain aspects, but you kind of sign this shit that tells, the presser that you're working with that you have these samples cleared. So it's almost like just the factory doesn't want to be held responsible, so they just throw it all on you. It's understandable. So that was that. So what ends up happening is to keep it short and sweet, because it could really be a long, crazy explanation of everything. But what ends up happening was told Fake Fever I wanted to do this album. He's like, cool, let's do it. I'm like, great, this is awesome. Let's get this started. What I like to look out for in artists, besides the energy and whatnot, I think album art is so incredibly important. I think that is a big factor in selling something. And that Surrogate album cover is just beautiful. It's like,
that cover rocks. Everything about the art with that is awesome.
So gorgeous. And I think that was another big factor why I wanted to go with him first, was like, I can really make a beautiful just package with this thing, like with an OB strip and just the colors of the record. It could just look really good. So right away I was like, all right, send me, the art assets and I'll get to work. So I ended up reaching out to a whole bunch of different factories that could press records, getting all different numbers and whatnot. And I ended up settling on this one. So I went with them, and they kind of just gave me the templates to just put all the artwork in. So I just started working with all that, sizing everything properly. And then there's always this is one thing I could say to anybody who's thinking about starting a label. There's always going to be a new issue that comes up every day that you didn't think would happen. So like the first thing that happened, for example, was the art that Fake Fever had wasn't properly sized where like it wouldn't lose resolution. So he had to reach out to the original artist, and the original artist had to rework something. Like it kind of goes back and forth every day. So that's like the art side of it, putting everything to scale, and it's not really that intricate of a discussion. You just submit it when it's ready. But then the other thing is you have to get your tracks properly mastered for vinyl, because it's treated very differently than just a regular digital master file. So what I did, I reached out to some people in the scene that I know and trust. For Surrogate, I got it mastered through Fiber, who's a great future funk French house artist, really good friend of mine.
Oh, I know Fiber.
Fiber murdered it, absolutely killed the mastering on it. So we got those tracks over, those files, I had those. I kind of just made all these little folders within a bigger folder on like my hard drive to store everything and organize it. That's another big thing. Organization is so important in this, because there's so many little things like the artwork, your quotes that you're getting from the presser, and then and I'm about to get into this too, because I think the biggest thing that people overlook with starting a record label is all the material you need to properly do it, and the space. And a big thing all the time in the vaporwave scene, labels will get crushed online from just people commenting that, why is this release so limited? And then right away, just this like mob forms around, like the label is like greedy because they want to make a limited release so it looks more limited and people will buy it and it'll sell out faster. And I can tell you right now from firsthand experience that is not the case. Maybe some labels do it, try and play the game like that, but all of us are mostly just running this shit from where we live. You have no room to put 300 records, 300 whiplash mailers, a whole bunch of corrugated padding, bubble wrap if you're going to use that. Let's say you're ordering stickers, scotch tape, packing tape, tape guns. Where are you going to put this shit? So like,
did you put a picture on Twitter or something with you like in front of all the boxes or something?
Yeah, so I
saw that. That was a wild ass picture. I'm like, oh my god.
Dude, and that's just the boxes, because there's the records, there's the padding and whatnot. And I'm going to tell another story. You opened up a can of worms for me, because I'm going to go down a whole bunch of different routes with this question.
Let's go, bro. Let's do it.
So about 4 or 5 months ago, my girlfriend and I, we bought our first house. We're super excited. We're making big moves in our life, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Thank you very much. So we're making big moves. We do a whole bunch of work on the place, painting, ripping up floors, doing a whole bunch of stuff. And we literally got to a point in March where we were finally settling down, and we were in a place that, it's done. We're pretty much done. It's the middle of the night. I'm playing fucking Pikmin on the Switch. It's just one of these moments in my life. I'll remember every little thing I was doing. Playing Pikmin on the Switch, whatever. I get up, I turn it off. It was 3 a.m. Good thing I was up. walk into my kitchen and my whole kitchen is flooded, like a pool of water. And I'm like, oh my God. So I call my girlfriend. I'm like, start throwing towels down. I thought it was the dishwasher at first. I'm drying everything. I turn off the water in the house, everything. But there's water just pouring out of my cabinets, like underneath it. I'm like,
what the fuck?
Yeah. So we're drying it for like 2 hours. It's a work night. So we got to wake up for work in the morning.
And
after
fucking blows, dude.
Yeah, it was crazy. After 2 hours of doing this, the water's not stopping. Long story short, in the morning, we find out our neighbor's toilet, like the pipe connecting to it, loose. It went loose and just went off in the middle of the night. She didn't know. And just water was just rushing the whole night. Her whole house flooded. And the water just came through the walls into our place. And why I'm telling you this story and why I'm telling you before, you just have to realize that there's going to be issues that come up that you don't think. I had all the material, the records, everything on the first floor.
Oh, Jesus.
So as I'm cleaning everything up, it hits me because my kitchen is like right next to the living room. And I was like, oh my God, what if the fucking records are soaked? So now I run into the living room. Everything's fine. We're okay. I'm like, thank God. Start taking everything, bringing everything upstairs. So to sum up this story, the reason why labels don't buy a lot of shit sometimes is because of how much room it takes up. So now for the past like 2 months of having the records, I actually, for this first release, I wanted to do it right. I wanted to have all the stock in so that when I dropped the announcement and like the actual day it was going on for sale, I could ship them right away. So I had like, because you don't just buy 300 Whiplash mailers, which are the boxes you ship the records. You buy in bulk, and there's certain price points you can hit to get a discounted price. So I bought like 1,000 of them, right? Because I know I'm gonna be doing more vinyl in the future. So I was like, let me buy 1,000.
Might as well, yeah.
My stupid ass not realizing like how much space it takes up. So like, all right, let me buy 1,000 of these. A corrugated padding, let me buy like 2,000 of those, whatever. So for about a month, not a month, it was maybe like 2 or 3 weeks, I would say, before the release. Entire second floor just full of boxes in our bedroom, records. Like I think I had like the boxes in the bathroom. Like there was no room to put anything. And this is a big reason why a lot of these labels don't buy a lot. We don't have warehouses or shipping facilities, most of us. And you really have to take into consideration, it's not just the product of the record, it's everything else that makes the record get to the customer. And that was the number one thing I learned in this process. And not just from a space perspective, but from a price perspective, because everything costs money. So you gotta, you're paying, when you're shipping out these records, you're paying for shipping. Luckily, vinyl falls under media mail, which is flat, like I think $3.85, and it changes with every pound. But I think I got mine for I got it right under 2 or just 2 pounds or something. So the price to ship is $3.85. Then you got to do the math for how much it costs, price per unit for the box to ship the record in. The tape that you're using, the tape guns, everything goes into this process, and it starts adding up, and you're like, am I really like making any money on this? And what you learn is profit margin for running a record label it's not like as big as any of these other, these other things. But what I love about a record label is that it just goes to show that like hard work and trying to find different avenues of marketing it and really giving an artist a place to shine and making them proud of where they are. All that can go such a long way. It can guarantee you those sales. It's not like this, those ads you get on YouTube, like you can make 10 grand in like 2 weeks, like selling, private label branding on Amazon. Like that shit is like just, it's like almost, maybe it is realistic, but it just seems like a gamble to me. There is a clear path you can take. And if you do the homework and you really learn everything and reach out to other people who are running record labels, you can do it right. And you have to do it right, because if you don't, you will like make not a lot of money. You might even lose money on doing one of these things, because so much goes into it. Buying the records, buying all that tape, all the boxes, all that shit. And then you're going to get people that they're going to get it and it's possibly damaged, or it didn't just show up and USPS messed it up or whatever. So a lot of things. There's just so many little things, and I learned along the way that could get very frustrating. But now that I did it the first time, I know what to do going into it the second time. And looking back, I really think I did a good job. Like I could, sit back and say, I did it right. I think a lot of people were happy with how the release came out, and it got to them very fast, which I was happy I took that route instead of just taking like a pre-order and then, seeing how much I needed to buy and then buy it from there. So I kind of took a chance with it, because I don't have like the benefit of having all these people who follow me on Bandcamp. I never used that platform yet, so I wasn't sending out a lot of notifications. Like people weren't. I didn't have an audience on there to kind of hit with. I was kind of just relying on what I've done with Pad and what I can do to advertise it from Pad and bring people over there. But to shut myself up so we can keep this conversation going, it's just there's a lot of things you got to look into, and you really got to sit down and look at the numbers, because it's very easy to just become delusional and just get excited about like putting out a piece of music for someone and like creating the artwork for the vinyl, and that's all fun and games and stuff, but you can't ignore like just the moments where you're gonna have to sit down, you know, with a cup of coffee and like crunch all these numbers, research different prices from different factories, from just different boxes to use and which boxes break easier and which don't, and like it's a lot. So I have so much respect for people who have done this for so long, and I had no idea how hard it is. I thought it would be really easy. Like that first day I said, no, fuck it, we're gonna give all the profit to the artists. I'm just gonna do this as like a cool thing for people. And then I really started looking into it, how much time it's gonna take up, and I was like, geez, like it's gonna be really hard to do this. Like I would like to make money so I can reinvest it back in the label and grow it and keep going and going. So it's been fun, dude. It's been a lot of fun. I'll tell you that much.
It is a miracle you are alive right now.
I really don't know how.
But your hard work paid off. If I'm not mistaken, the vinyl sold out, right? Both of them.
So the vinyl, it sold out in 5 days. We sold it out.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Now we got another big drop coming May 7th. We're doing these limited edition laser engraved cassettes, which I haven't seen a lot in the scene. So the cassette itself is just custom engraved with like the artist's name and just the name of the release and everything. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And then from there, I just got a lot of things, I'm working on it, but it's tough because I'm also doing the YouTube channel. I have my regular job, and now my whole fucking first floor is destroyed. So I'm working on that. So it's just this, like, people know that I'm not going to be this label that's putting out things every week, but I think that in a way now creates this place where it's going to be very special every release, because I'm really...
Yeah, it makes it more special.
Yeah, I'm only going to be working on it when I can properly. I'm not just going to rush something out. And that relates to the Caretaker video. It's the same shit. So, yeah, that's pretty much the situation with that.
Nice. Pad Chennington, man of 1,004 holds. You can't stop him. If you have to, you literally can't.
You can't stop me.
Insane. Pat, I think this is a good time to try and transition into some viewer questions, because I asked some people. The Pad Chennington's come back on the podcast. Everyone's like, yo, damn, I'm going to ask some questions. So I had people ask some questions. You kind of answered this already. Zach Hales wanted to know, Zach Sayles, Sayles, I believe. He wanted to know some of the things you didn't know when starting a record label, but you kind of did a deep dive into that.
Yeah, I mean, if I can try and think of anything else, I think I pretty much hit it all there. And it's just, international shipping is so expensive.
International shipping scares the shit out of me, dude.
Oh my God, that's the scariest part. That was like the part where all the orders started coming in. I was like, oh, look at this. All the numbers are going up. And then I start seeing like fucking Australia, Japan. I'm like, what am I going to do? How do I get these to these people? So that's another thing. International shipping is nuts. That's what I say.
Poor international shipping. But he also had another question. He wanted to know. Mm-hmm. Also, Pad, would you ever do more deep dives into noise music, like Boris or clipping? Any plans to revisit the noise genre? Yes, I will. I'm going to be doing something on Pop Tataria, I think I want to do. So I will be doing some more stuff on that. I think noise music in general is such a fun avenue to go down, because it's a community that I have to say, the reception I got from them with like my noise music video on the Merzbow video was, for me, like directly talking to people, it was so nice and kind, and it was great to work with these people and kind of just, I always try to ask like the community, like, hey, can you guys, give me some direction on where I should go? Or if I were to make a video on this person, what would you like me to talk about? What's something that can be, helpful to the scene and can bring new people in if this video trends and whatnot. And noise music is just fascinating. This concept of like someone making a ton of noise and people going to it, and like people on the outside being like, what the fuck is this? But I kind of get it now. And as a content creator, I love talking about noise music because I don't fully get it,
But that's what makes it interesting to me. It's like I'm looking in through this window to this community or this scene that like I want to fully, find meaning into noise music. And I have found like a lot of like comfort in it actually. And there's been times it's been very therapeutic for me when I'm working on scripts. I actually listen to noise music and I almost like drown out in it and I'm just fully zoned into like a script or something, which it's very hard for me to do that with a lot of other stuff because a lot of other music, you just start looking at little things. You're like, oh, that's a really nice bass line or something. But with noise music, it's just this like, these like, I don't know, this like shit comes out of your computer and just like zones you in. I'm making these like motions with my hand right now, like just trying to imagine it. But yeah, I'll definitely go down the noise route again. I think people like when I do it. It makes for some interesting content, and not a lot of people talk about it online. It's a very, it's a very hidden kind of community, and I like to, give artists representation whenever I can.
There you go. Boom. Noise music coming soon.
Coming soon.
All right. Why Alien V wants to know, does he listen to Death Grips?
I do. I don't listen to them that much. I always say I need to.
We got it, baby.
More, and I always say the same shit every time. Like, I love The Money Store. I've listened to The Money Store a whole bunch. But I still need to, like, give myself the time to listen to Death Grips. But from what I have heard, I mean, there are some tracks on The Money Store that are, like, so good.
Yeah, like Death Grips fucks, dude. Oh my god, don't get me started on Punk Weight. That song is awesome,
dude. I want to play that. Like, I want to mix that live so bad, and I will.
For the life of me, I don't know why they don't play this live. I genuinely think they don't play it live because they will destroy speakers. That's the only reason I think.
When it just explodes, and that like after the build up in the intro, it is so cool. And that's why I tell myself, like, what the fuck am I doing not listening to them more? Like, I should really listen to them more. But I do. I listen to The Money Stores. I hate to sound like, lame and boring because I know that's like their most known release.
The big one.
But yeah, they fucking rock. They're real good. Real good.
I say if you want to go down the rabbit hole of Death Grips, and since you're a big fan of The Money Store, I'd say the next one you should go to is Bottomless Pit, because people say that the two kind of like, it's the poppier version. People call Bottomless Pit Money Store 2.
Okay, good to know.
Bottomless Pit fucks, man. I love that. Spikes is gonna rock your cock, dude. That's all I'll say.
I will be listening to that. Bottomless Pit. That's the next one.
Sweet. All right, there you go. He does listen to Death Grips, guys. We did it. Pad Chennington listens to Death Grips. We did it. All right, this one, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Jackson, gave me a whole debrief because his question confused me, but I think I understand, and I will summarize it.
Okay.
If an individual was deaf and they were about to become undeaf and they've never heard sound before, and you had to play them one album to their first experience of music, what would that first album be?
That is a great question. Because do I want to just give them something that I love, like that's been very important to me, or do I want to give them something that's like an audio trip that like just bends sound or something like that? Like, I don't know. I mean, oh my God, that is so tough. You know what? I mean, if they have been deaf and this is the first thing they're hearing, none of us can fathom what that would be like. Like, would it be really scary to hear any sort of sound?
That's what I'm thinking. That was what I was thinking. I'm like, man, if this is your first time ever listening to music, and let's just say for sake of argument, you put on Punk Weight, that's the first thing someone ever hears. God. They will have cardiac arrest. Like, that scared the shit out of them.
And then I think they would just think like that. That's just sound that everyone. Because that's the thing too. When they first hear that first sound, they're gonna be like, this is what people are accustomed to. Like this
is what music is. Yeah.
So I would say like. So if I had to answer this question without giving just a favorite album of mine, one artist that I love and I recommend anyone check out if you want some really just beautiful, luscious, ethereal music, Desert Sand Feels Warm at Night is an incredible artist in the slush wave scene is what we call it. But what makes him so special is everything he does is sample free, and he kind of produces his own music and then plays with it like a sample. But it is like some beautiful, beautiful music. And I think, if someone was to be deaf forever and then they weren't, I think to hear those like warm pads and just like luscious strings that he works with, and it's great stuff. If you know Desert Sand, you know what I'm talking about. And I think that's a nice wake up to the ears, I would say, if someone was hearing something for the first time. So I'll go with Desert Sand Feels Warm at Night. That's my answer.
Sweet. Now I got new listening material as well.
Yeah. Oh, definitely, dude. Check them out. Amazing art. I'll send you some shit after we get off.
The album covers, like, I'm looking through them. They kind of rock, dude. Like, they're like simple, but they look really nice.
Oh yeah, it's really, really, really good.
Okay.
Definitely one of my favorite artists in this online scene right now.
All right. Victor Wright wants to know, what's your opinion, if you have any, on 9 Inch Nails?
This is another artist I haven't really listened to. Like, there are just so many big artists that everyone loves that I've never, like, another one is Boards of Canada. I've listened to like 2, maybe 3 of their albums.
Boards of Canada? I haven't heard. That's a name I haven't heard in a while.
I really don't have like that much to say because I haven't listened. I kind of like, if it's not for the channel, thank goodness for my channel, because it really made me push myself to look for other music. I'm not this like, and I have so much love and respect for Fantano because he just knows a lot of music.
Oh yeah.
He's a great example of that. But me, on the other hand, like, I kind of just listen to what I like for so long. And that's another thing on the channel. I only really talk about what I like, and I get shit for that sometimes, and it's understandable. But I think the reason why I do it, besides the fact that a lot of these artists I talk about are so underground and not known, I don't want to like shit on anyone, when they're not this like huge popular artist that even me saying something's not going to affect them. Like, I don't want to turn anyone away from anybody. But I just have a lot of fun talking about artists that I love and that have meant so much to me along, my way of learning new music and everything. But there's just certain artists that like I haven't listened to that I have to. And that's another one. So I have no answer for that, unfortunately. I hate to say that, but I really don't.
All right, Victor. He's not opposed to listening to it.
I'm sorry, Victor.
Nothing now.
Not opposed at all.
Maybe he will get to it and we will come back to it and he'll have some fleshed out opinions.
Maybe when we knock out the trilogy podcast.
Yeah, number 3, baby. All right. Last individual, Kyled, Kyled. They gave a bunch of questions, but I think this will be the last one. I'll just do like a quick little glaze over which one looks pretty cool. Okay. What are your top 5 hip-hop albums?
That's another awesome question. My favorite hip-hop album of all time is Food by MF Doom. I think I could say that's my number
R.I.P. to legend, bro.
I love everything about just his word choice, like focusing on this theme of food. I think is like so fascinating. Like, it's just this like supermarket of words, literally. And I find that album so much fun. I love the artwork. Like I always say, artwork to me is so important. I know a lot of people like to, maybe remove the context of artwork and just listen to the music for what it is. And that's cool. But for me, I think the artwork makes the experience that much more. And just all those like muddy and like vegetable colors he uses in the painting. And I love that album. That is definitely my favorite MF Doom album. And it's probably my favorite, hip hop album, I could definitely say that. Nice. And then I would also say, this is also maybe in no particular order. I would put My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy on there. I remember being in high school when that came out, and like my buddy and I, one of my best friends, this kid Matt, that's one of my best friends growing up. We like always loved Kanye West, and we kind of was on that journey with Kanye from every release. And I remember like when Dark Fantasy came out, when we heard that, like we knew at that moment, like this is so insane for like mainstream, like what's on your just most known radio station. It's just like, it was awesome. Those tracks like Devil in a New Dress and Runaway, like was just amazing. I like to think of Runaway as like the stairway to heaven of hip hop. Like I think Runaway is the best hip hop track ever made. If you take everything into account, like the beat, the lyrics, the success of it for it came out at the time and its airplay. Like I just think that is the best hip hop song ever made. So I would say My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is on there. Food is on there. Let me see, because those are always the two that I would say like right away.
Those are your go-tos, yeah.
What else would I say?
Got him thinking.
Got me thinking. I used to write this shit down. Like, let me see, can I find anywhere? I used to write stuff. So another one that I really, really, really like. There's this rapper, Milo. and he has this album.
Yo.
Flies Don't Come. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, so the flies don't come rocks, dude.
Yes, with the hands, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes. Oh, dude, that album cover rocks. That album rocks.
So that's an album that when I discovered that album, I was like, this is amazing too. Because, and okay, maybe I'll get some shit for this, but like there's some Tyler the Creator songs I really like, and like Odd Future songs and stuff, but sometimes to me, like listening, and maybe it's because I really listened to Tyler when he first came out with Odd Future. It always seemed like really like trying to be like, they always seem like those kids that like try to cause like mischief and whatnot. And I was like, I don't know, it's just kind of edgy to me. But Milo to me was like the vibe of Tyler the Creator, this like kind of DIY, you know, just like rapping about just my everyday, but it's like very, I don't know, it's very like intelligent and like and not shitting on Tyler at all. His recent stuff is fucking amazing.
Oh yeah, dude, he is completely evolved. Oh
my god, yeah, evolved. Like that dude is a killer. But this album, I would say for anyone who like likes Tyler the Creator, and like just fun like flows, you know, like Milo has like so many different like just way he raps and narrates his tracks. It is a great album. So that's another one I would say. I mean, I love I don't know, like rap albums is tough, but I just love a lot of rap tracks. Like I love like
now you gotta find the records. You gotta find the projects that fuck.
Yeah. See, I'm trying to think here.
I love rocks though, dude.
I want to give I wrote down a list a long time ago. I wrote down a long list.
Shit, I should probably do this too, just in case, by the off chance I'm going on a podcast and they ask me, I'm like, fuck, I gotta bust out my Pad Chennington list just in case someone asks me what my top 5 electronic albums are.
Yeah. Yeah, this is oh my god, this is a tough question.
We got 3 so far. I got 3.
All right, let me really think. What is an album that just like, oh my god. See, my problem is my room, I got so many records all over the place. I'm getting distracted. I'm getting distracted looking around. You know what? I could put Run the Jewels 2 on there. I think RTK 2 is real good. Run the Jewels 3 was also amazing. Like all that stuff is really good, but Run the Jewels 2 was an album I didn't know about when it came out, and then when it did come out, I listened to that album a whole bunch. So let's put Run the Jewels on there. And like I said, this list is hard for me to think of because it's a lot of like individual tracks for me that I would say. I'm not necessarily like full albums.
Yeah.
And then if we could wrap it up with one more.
We're so close, man.
If we could wrap it up with one more album. Okay. An album that I loved as a kid. Like, I loved 50 Cent growing up. I loved, like, when I was like in elementary school, I loved 50 Cent. So like Get Rich or Die Trying, like those times, like that was, I remember just loving that stuff.
The classics, man.
So let's give it a 50. Well, I'll go, we'll go G Unit with the last one. There's my top 5 right there.
There you go, Kyle Dennins. You made him
a loose top 5.
A loose top 5, but Kyle Dennins, you really made him think, man.
You did.
Nice. Hey, Pat, guess what?
What's up?
That's the episode. Thank you for stopping by.
Dude, me and you, we can go for hours, I feel.
We can. We really can.
You know, I feel like
I always shoot for an hour. We always go over, and I'm like, this rocks.
Dude, thank you again. Thanks for having me. Everybody,
no problem, bro.
I absolutely love Jake. Like I said, I love other content creators who just, you feel like you're just genuinely hanging out with them in a room and like, you know, you've been friends for a long time. Like that, I love doing, this is great. Like doing this again. And Jake's going to be in that big Caretaker video.
I am.
Big inspiration, you know, to get that video going in the first place. So a lot of love to you, dude.
That's awesome. Love to you too, dude.
2.4 million views, dude. That is something.
It's really wild. Like that's my magnum opus. We're talking about yours and Mr. Kirby, but that's mine definitely.
Dude, be real proud. That's some amazing stuff.
It is wild. If anything ever breaks it, that would be epic. But
yeah, I feel
I'm okay with this being my magnum opus, I think. But yeah, guys, thank you for stopping by the Big Fish Podcast. For you, since I've been gone for a couple months, for you coming back and listening to this, that rocks, dude. Like that's pretty sick. If you're listening to this on YouTube, that rocks. Or you could listen to it on major streaming services. Just look up the Big Fish Podcast. And if you're doing on the major services, just flip it and watch it on YouTube. We got a cool little hopefully we have a cool little new visuals going on, something a little nicer, like lo-fi hip-hop girl aesthetic, because I've been working a little bit. I want to make sure this looks good for the return. But yeah, I think it's a podcast in the can, boys. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So as long as you check out Pad's label, Katskill Records, and hype yourself up for that new motherfucking Caretaker video, and you're all set. So thank you for watching. I do appreciate it, and have a pleasant day.